Okay, upon request on how to do the morphing for some sort of a complex shape for your facade. First of all, I'm just going to quickly create like two walls to start with. Right, so let's say this is just imagine this is your the wall of your building, and then this is the 2D line tool. So I'm just going to create some sort of a pattern, something like this. Okay, now to use the morph tool and to create something complex, I tend to move this away from the wall. So this way I have more space to work with. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offset another set of line based on this pattern. Perhaps I'll just change this to red so that you can see what I'm doing better. So next I'm going to get you to go window and then go palettes and then go bring out something called control box. So for the first time, archicad tends to give you the compact version, but if you want to get the extended version, simply hover your cursor right on top of the palette. Just go right click and choose extended control box. Right, so the reason why we need to use this is because we need to use the offset feature, right? So just remember, every time if you see it's blue means it's on, it's been activated. If it's gray means it's off, all right? So if you click on it, it's blue. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the line tool, okay? And making sure that this is on. Now, next I'm going to hold down the space bar on my keyboard to get the magic wand. Look, the smart thing in archicad is even before I was actually meant to hold down space bar and then move my cursor on top of that line there. But as you can see, I don't have anything else surrounding this pattern. So if I leave my cursor over here and hold down space bar, archicad is able to detect this pattern already, which is pretty smart. So still, I'm just going to follow the traditional way. So I'm just going to hold down spacebar and I'm going to hover my cursor right on top of the line there and then do a single click. And then I let go of my spacebar. And as you can see now, archicad allows me to offset this line to where I want it, like either it's in here or here, but I want it to be in this direction here. So move your cursor here and type in your thickness. Let's say 30. Just type 30, enter. That's it, done. Now, once you have completed this, you have to make sure you use the line tool again to close the gaps. You have to do this, and no gaps allowed. Everything needs to be perfectly closed, otherwise it will not work, and it will never work. Right, so once I close up the gap on both ends, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Morph tool and then hold down my space bar to get the magic wand again. And after this, I need to move my cursor into this space. See that? It turns blue. So next, I'm just going to do a firm left click. Done. It's been morphed. So if you want to take a look at this morph in 3D, so click on the morph and then press F5 and then zoom all, okay? So as you can see, this is the pattern. So currently it's like 0 thickness. And after that, you just have to click on this surface here and then go click again. And then in the pad palette, it gives you options like push, pull, tube, bulge, things like that. So I'm just going to choose the first one and zoom out. And then you can just go up or down. It's up to you. All right. But I want it to go up. So I'm going to type in the height, let's say 6,000, enter. Okay. Now that surface has been extruded. So let's say this is done. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this back to where it's supposed to be, like so. Okay. Now when you do this, of course, you have to do like design this properly and do some calculations. Perhaps, like anything complex, I will always suggest people to start from a piece of paper until you get to finalize everything, and then you do this. It's a lot quicker and easier. Next, I'm just going to look at all this in 3D. All right, so from here, as you can see, this is the morph. Perhaps I'll choose a different color for this so that you can see the difference, right? So from here I can move up or down, it's up to me. Let's say I move it up, okay? And let's say you want this morph, let me close this. You want these 2 points to snap to this corner here or something like that, okay? Now morph is just like a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper. You can fold it and you can do whatever you want, okay? Now if I click on this, as you know that there's a thickness, so anything with a thickness will always have 2 points, right? So you have to do this very delicately. So be very careful where you click. Don't assume that you're gonna click on the right spot in a distance like that. Okay, even I can't do it. So so zoom in as close as possible, and I'm just going to click on this point here. All right, and in the pad palette, I'm going to choose this option, which is move node. So as you can see, it's allowing me to drag this point to where I want it to be. So maybe over here, click, right? So that's done. Now, if you want to click on this point here, yes, you can click, and then depending on what design you want, okay, you may want it to be, just to let you know, while you're doing this, you can actually type O on the keyboard, O for orange, and then you can orbit the screen to make sure that you can see every corner, okay. Now, let's say if you want to go back to the editing mode again. So as you can see, my cursor now is still in the orbit command. So to go back to editing mode, just simply hit escape once. There you go. And then it will go back to the editing mode. So if I leave my point here, then this is exactly what will happen. See that, like I mentioned, this is just like a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard. And of course, if you take a look at this straight line here, so if I click on this and click in here, then in the pad palette, it gives me the option to insert new node. So that means I can insert a new node either back to this original line, or I can just move it somewhere else. Okay. Now, when you do this, quite often you will have to orbit the 3D view. See that? I thought, just now what just happened was I thought I clicked somewhere here, which is like facing perpendicular to the surface, but as you can see, it's not. So I'm just going to go Control Z to undo. Now, to do this, like I mentioned before, it's very important that you rotate the screen until you can see every point that you're trying to edit. So I'm just going to click on this point here. Let's say if I want to snap this point to here. Okay, so as you can see now, things doesn't go sideways or lengthways or something like that. So at the top here, as you can see, that you have like 2 lines because there's a thickness to it. So if I click on the inner line, yes, I can insert new node as well. So this is the good thing with the morph tool, but to use it, you have to make sure you understand your design. Okay, so you will be asking me, is it possible to actually change or add different colors to this surface? Yes, the answer is yes. Let's say if I want to choose a different color for this panel, just this surface here, then you just click on this morph and then you click on the face again. And in the pad palette, you will have something like this, which is the custom face settings, right? Click on that, and then you will be able to choose the material. So by default, sometimes it's off. You can turn it on, and then you go choose whatever color you want. And then down here, you can choose apply changes to clicked face, all similar faces, or all faces. All right, so I'm just going to leave it to that. Clicked face, hit OK, and you will have this color. All right, now of course, if I click on here or here and click on the face again, I can push this out if I need to. a bit like origami. All right. So yeah, this is how you um, can start using the morph tool to tweak around um, the external wall to try to achieve what you're trying to achieve.